happy about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I am the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today is Wiki Wednesday, Wiki Wednesday, and I'm never going to do that again. But this is Jack. This is InfoXCzar. And thank you guys for coming in. Info's dad, thank you so much for the resub. Books, Brews, and Brews, so happy to have you here. Giselle, thank you for coming in. Chan, there are times where I'm going to kind of ignore chat a little bit just so we can make sure that we stay on topic. Power Wagon, welcome on in. So don't think I'm totally ignoring you. Your chat does appear on screen and we can go ahead and address it at that point. So I don't hate chat. Sounded last week like I hated chat. Definitely don't hate chat. Just trying
I
to.
hate that.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we've got Jack in here, and like usual, I ask a bunch of questions, mainly about what you've provided me. So I've gotten, stay on the topic with Jack. We have a written, non-written agreement that I am allowed to cut him off if I feel like he's getting too far off topic, which is something that I don't totally believe in. But in Jack's case, this is
It's
very
a
much going to happen.
it's a crucial exception, is what it is.
Um, okay, so as long as everybody can hear everybody okay, then we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, I
My
do.
dad is already casting shade. He's already throwing shade.
Wait until Sencha shows up. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, the first thing that you wrote down for your likes was magic, and that's why the first thing that we have up on the screen is magic, the illusion, because I typed in magic and there was, Magic the Gathering, magic, all this stuff. So Magic the Illusion is what we're going with. Exactly.
Sorry, I'm playing with the delay. I've got your stream up so I can see what you've typed. And I've been doing this for almost 2 years. I still can't figure out which way to point.
Right.
It's like something pops up on the screen. I'm like, you know. And so I'm just trying to gauge that I'm not used to looking at this. Like, okay, so it's
It's
similar
the
to
other, yeah.
what I'm not used to. Yes.
You're right, exactly. I can hear myself a little bit on your side. There's a slight echo.
I can fix that. I actually have earbuds in case that turns into a problem. So
Awesome. Look at
if
you
we
all
need to,
prepared without your vest on with your cool ass jacket.
cool ass jacket. I've had this for well over 10 years. This is the jacket that Prim came with me and helped me pick out to buy for my first date with my girlfriend now of over 10 years. So
That's so special. I love
yeah.
that. I love that.
Um, why? Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this. All right, that should help.
Okay.
If we get bounce back, just let me know. I can take it down lower. So.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So, I say that a lot, and we're going to try to get away from okay. So, Magic the Illusion. So, basically, you do more close up magic than anything else. Is that correct?
Yeah, for now, mostly just because this is all I got. This is my space, so I do close up. They usually break it up into close up magic, parlor magic, which is a little bit bigger. Think like room with 20 to 50 people in it. Well, not 20, 5 to 50 people. And then stage illusions, which would be, turning a tiger into a motorcycle kind of thing.
Is that a thing?
Um, I believe I've seen it done. Um, I think I saw it done in Vegas, or something very like that. I may have conflated it. It may have been like a woman turns into a tiger and then the tiger turns into a motorcycle. I can't remember, but there was definitely a motorcycle involved, and there was probably a tiger involved somewhere.
That's incredible. I love that. Okay. So, how long have you been doing magic?
Um, like everything else, very on and off. I probably really started when I was about 8, so that's 43-ish years. But
Wow.
only really seriously in the past 6 or 7, maybe.
Okay. So what you said that you did some when you were young, you were the Rubik's Cube kid.
Yeah.
You were, you're very smart for being you, from what I've deducted and knowing you.
What does that mean? I'm smart
You
for
are
being.
very intuitive. You are very introspective, and you seem to like that's why you're a good magician. Like you're able to see right through the bullshit.
Fair. Yeah, sorta, kinda. It's also, well, magic's a weird thing that way. The problem with magic is that it attracts certain kinds of people that maybe shouldn't be doing it. It's a little bit like that old thing, like with politics. The only people who run for office are the people who shouldn't be holding it.
Hmm.
That kind of thing. Um, so you get a lot of people have a magic phase when they're kids because I think, in part because uh, you enjoy secrets at that age, and you enjoy learning things you're not supposed to know. Finding out secrets that you're not supposed to know. But also, when you're that age, um, you don't have any power, and it's a way of getting some power. And so, what does that say? That most people grow out of that phase, and
Yeah.
some of us don't. We're just gonna stick with it. And for me, I think I stuck with it in part because, yeah, I just like um, secret knowledge, but also I enjoy the psychology and also the biomechanics of deception. Like, what does it take to fool somebody? Why does your brain zig when it's supposed to zag? And
Right.
how can you exploit that, hopefully for good instead of for evil?
Right.
Um,
And so that's why when you likes, you said magic, but only the good kind. What
yeah.
specifically does that refer to?
Well, that means a few different things to me. So magic, we in this society we think of magic as an entertainment form, and it is. It's also been an art form. I think it used to be treated much more seriously. Um, in this society, in this time period, there's sort of this pervasive feeling that magic is for kids.
Right.
Uh, it didn't always used to be that way. A lot of that changed. Oh, I don't even remember the name of the show. I'm such a poor historian, but the first time that like American audiences were exposed to magic on a wide scale, meaning on television,
Hmm.
was a TV show for kids,
Oh.
specifically magic. And so it sort of became associated in, the zeitgeist as a thing that is for kids. It's entertainment for kids. It's trivial. There's nothing serious about it, and we're still kind of working our way through that. Um, I,
Um,
I'm
Mar-
totally blanking on the name of
Marvin's
it.
My First Magic, Young Magicians. Oh, these are all like current
Yeah,
ones.
if you type like maybe Magic TV 1950s or something like that,
Okay, yeah.
my dad might
Magic
remember it. I don't know. I don't know if my dad has seen it,
Magic in
but
the Air.
no, it was
Fashion Magic.
it had like an actual magician's name.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't, yeah, some kind of magic hour thing. I feel really bad because also, my memory is even worse when I haven't slept, and I got more last night than usual, but I'm still messed up from the previous night. But that's why it kind of turned into this thing like, and actually Francis Minotti brings this up, who's a magician I really like, and I'm so honored to have actually met him and performed on the same stage as him, which still blows my mind a
Say
couple of
his
weeks
name
ago.
again. Let's see if he's on Wikipedia.
Francis Menotti, Menotti.
He is. American
Oh yeah,
actor.
he will be. I guarantee he will be. He's
Yeah.
not gonna be a household name, but every magician knows the name.
Okay.
I didn't know his nickname was Chip. That I did not
Yep.
know.
Chip is his middle name.
Yeah. Hmm.
Or his other name, you know.
No, this is a different one. This is a different one. Because Francis Menotti's younger than me. He wasn't born in '38.
This one says Chip.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I didn't know the
Oh,
one I
okay,
knew.
okay, okay. So
He's
then
not.
we're
This is a
gonna
different
do a
one.
Google search
He's
instead.
a former figure skater. Yeah, a different guy. Different
We
guy.
can pretend that's him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably run into that.
This guy.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. Yeah, he's like 5 or 6 years younger than me. So
Okay. He looks
I
like a
saw
magician.
1948. I'm like, oh no, that's not him.
Yeah, he looks like a magician.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He does kind of look like a magician. But
Oh, he does stage magic?
yeah, yeah, mostly staged. He's currently performing with his partner. They have a show now called A Couple of Magicians. I think it's called A Couple of Magicians,
Oh.
and um, they do some amazing stuff, and it was great to be able to hang out with them.
A
But
consultant,
he's
a consultant for film, television, and other magicians, Francis created all of the magic for ABC's crime drama Deception,
yeah,
and Penn and Teller on the hit Fool Us, and The
hmm
Master of Illusion in 2019. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Well, a lot of magicians, a lot of their work is often putting stuff together for still more magicians, or consulting for TV and film, things like that. So I took an online class. This To me this is hilarious. I took an online class with a magician who then turned out to be. Do you remember the Ant-Man sequel? Did you
Yes.
see the Ant-Man sequel?
No, but I know of
Okay,
it.
okay. He's under house arrest because he is a criminal. They put him under house arrest for a year, and so he's housebound. This is, outside of the pandemic thing,
Right,
but
right.
everybody can connect with this. But while he was housebound for a year, one of the jokes is that, is like, do you understand what I had to do to entertain my daughter while I was stuck in the house for a year? I took magic classes online, and at some point you see him, at his computer, and there's a little Zoom screen with a magician teaching him, and that's Blake Voigt. And I took an online class with Blake Voigt while under house arrest during lockdown.
Wow.
But yeah, so he consulted on the film, and he appeared in that little thing. But yeah, a lot of times that's one of the things a working magician does is it's behind the scenes stuff. It's not performance.
Yeah.
Um,
Modern stage magic, stage illusions, parlor magic, close up, mentalism.
yeah, some people class that as a separate thing, and I'm not convinced it's. I am both. I am simultaneously convinced and unconvinced that it should be classified separately. It's
Yeah.
basically using the principles of magic to make it look um, like psychic ability,
Got
right?
it.
And you've seen me do plenty of mentalism on stream, and I enjoy it. I really like studying mentalism. I I'm more fascinated with it than I am interested in performing it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem comes, there's a lot more people who believe mentalists have real powers than they believe magicians have real powers. But they're doing the exact same things. It's just a presentational shift,
Yeah.
which is
Um,
really interesting to me.
Giselle is saying, what are the principles of magic? Like, are there, never, never do this, always do this, like a code, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, sort of, yes, but I think that's more the kinds of things that they tell, little kids when they start learning magic.
Right.
Like, okay, make sure you practice this 100 times in the mirror before you show anyone, and make sure you never tell anyone the secret. And yeah, these are all important precepts, but they're not. I mean, some people take it pretty far. There are magic societies that will actually kick you out if you expose how somebody else's
Right.
trick is done, and it's not something that's publicly available knowledge and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I mean, if I had a trick and somebody, I don't know, messed with it or something along those lines,
yeah,
I would be pretty pissed off.
yeah, no, absolutely. And generally speaking, magicians are really cool about that. It's like y- you're a magician and you just showed me something that blew my mind and I love it, but that's your trick and that's for you to perform. Even if I figure out how you do it, that doesn't mean I'm going to start performing it. But then there are plenty of people who would absolutely do
Right,
that.
right.
Generally speaking, people are cool about not taking other people's work. It's like in comedy, stealing other people's jokes.
Yeah.
not like there's a ruling body who's going to slap you on the wrist for doing it, but don't be a dick, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody put
Um,
work into this, and that's their work. And if in magic, it's interesting because this doesn't happen in comedy. In magic, if you create something new and you decide this is going to be mine for a while, I'm going to perform it for 5 years. Now I've performed it. I'm moving on to other things. Now I might decide to teach it at lectures, or I might decide to turn it into a commercially available product for other magicians to buy and perform.
right.
But that's the creator's decision,
How
whether
do
when.
you get a book from a magician and not have it put into plebe hands? Like
Hang on, I didn't catch that.
layperson's hands. How do you make sure that a magician book doesn't get into the wrong hands?
You don't. I mean, anybody who's listening right now, if you wanted to, you could absolutely hunt down these books. They're expensive, so and they're printed in very small runs because there aren't that many people who would want to buy it, you
Right.
know. So there are plenty of magic books that contain plenty of magic for you to learn that are mass market. And I always tell people if you want to start these days, I mean, it's old fashioned now, but I still believe that really the best stuff is in the books because until you can read it and deconstruct it from the printed page, you don't understand it as well. So you can go on YouTube and somebody can show you a thing, but I don't think, and you can learn it that way, but you won't really internalize it the way that it's really helpful to internalize it as you would if you sit down with a printed page book and you need to translate the written word and a few maybe sketchy diagrams into performing the sequence of events. And
Right.
oh, okay, they mean this. You really have to take it apart. It's a little bit like that thing where um, if you really want to understand anything, you don't really get it until you are able to teach it to someone else, right? So that's why computers are so cool because computers are incredibly stupid about understanding what they should be doing. They only do exactly what they're told.
Right.
So if you want to really understand something, try to program a computer to do it because you really have to break it down into exactly what to do, and it really helps you understand what you've always kind of known but not known you've known.
Okay, so the I looked up
Go to Monday. Oh
Cartamundi.
yeah,
Yeah. So, is this yeah, it does
that's
board
them.
games, card games, packages, playing cards through its sales.
Yeah.
So, let me see real quick if I do. No, okay, it's kind of money. Okay, so what is specifically about this? They said it produced collectible card games for other companies. They printed early editions of Magic the Gathering.
Oh, makes sense.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't
And
surprise me.
Star Trek customizable card game and Star Wars customizable card game currently prints in non-English language of Magic. English Magics are printed in Dallas. That's crazy.
Well, it makes sense to me in part just because there are only so many people who are set up to print cards. I mean, the way cards are printed is they print huge sheets that have a certain number of cards on them, and I think it breaks down to like 56 cards on a sheet, something like that. Which is
Okay.
why when you buy a bicycle deck, they always have extra cards in it. It's
Right.
because there's enough space to print and cut more cards, so they have the advertising card and the rules of poker card and all that stuff. So they print this huge sheet, and playing cards are they're a very specific composition. There's a middle layer, a face layer, and a back layer, and then for playing cards, if you want them to be good, they need to have special finishes and coatings and things like that. So it takes a lot to have the infrastructure to make good playing cards. So it's basically the United States Playing Card Company, Cardamundi. There's a one in Taiwan, I think. I think there's a separate one in mainland
Let's
China.
see. China has one.
Yeah, so but there's only like I would say probably four or five really big producers that just have the equipment to just crank out lots and lots of cards. And it just so happens that Cardamundi has a very specific, even the States Playing Card Company, they have different grades of cards. So if you go to a Walmart and you pick up a random deck of bicycle playing cards, like the one I randomly found in my pocket because they're in every pocket, this is this is one that just came from like a Walmart or a CVS or something like that. They are different than the let's see. They're different than these bicycle playing cards, even though they are still bicycle playing cards. These are ones that I got from a Magic supplier. They say Elite Edition,
Oh.
and they have a different card stock. They have a different finish, and also they're cut more precisely, which is more expensive, takes longer, but they handle better.
Okay.
So, it's interesting to me as a card guy. There's a lot of variation in the quality you can get even from the same company. So Cardamundi is just one of those card companies that they don't. They may sell their own cards, but I think they make cards for other people. And so if I get a
That's
deck of
so cool.
cohorts, these are made by Cardamundi on their E7 crushed stock, and they
Ooh.
feel like butter. They're fantastic. I love them. They're just the right thickness. They're just the right flexibility. Um, if you take a Walmart set of cards out, the edges feel rough until you break them in. These are
Right.
smooth because they're cut differently. And so it's just you spend enough time around cards and you start noticing which ones are fun, which ones just like feel great right out of the box. It's like I feel like I'm home. So,
Yeah. Now, okay, so one of the things that I love is you talk about animals real and animals plush. So I came prepared. Okay.
uh-oh.
I came prepared of my two plush items. Ugh. So
You
this is
sound like me. That's not good. You're too young to sound like me when you're reaching for something.
this is Al Sharpton.
Al
Okay.
Sharpton.
Okay, he's got a little
Al
tail
Sharpton.
and a little fins.
So good.
All right. Okay, so this is Al Sharpton. And then
Awesome.
we get a lot of Pusheen cats. Do you know the Pusheen cats, the little gray
I do.
cats? Okay, okay.
Yep.
We get a lot of those. So we've had Al Puccino, we've had Capuchino, and we call this one Sushin.
Okay.
It's got a little tail
Aw.
on it or whatever. So this is Sushin.
Okay. All
And
right.
it is so soft. Um,
Yes. Yeah, the
so
Pushins are really soft.
we name them the most ridiculous things. So what I know you have a few crocodiles or alligators, is that correct?
Yeah, there's a few crocodilids. I think two. Well, okay. Three of them are definitely gators. One is arguably a crocodile, but it's a half banana, half crocodile, so it's a croconana. Um,
Okay.
yeah, that one hangs out downstairs mostly, but the ones that I sleep with, there's a 6 foot gator, a 5 foot very wide flat gator, and the newest addition is a relatively small, weird looking gator, which is the one sitting on top at the end of my stream when I turn into a
Right.
character. Yeah, that's Dill, Dill Pickles, and
I love
you
the
can
pun
probably pull it up.
names.
You can probably pull it up if you go to the Fluff Nest
Okay.
website and
Okay,
look up
hold on.
Pickles. I think that'll pop right up.
Is it
Because I
fluff.net
put
or
that on
fluffnet?
pre-order. When they announced that, I had to pre-order it in the first hour to get 20% off, and I got the mega size. It's very dense.
Okay, is this it?
Fluffnet. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
not letting me
that's
scroll down. It does this
yeah the
thing
mega
where I
size.
can't
That's the
zoom
one I got.
in.
Yeah, that's the one I got. So, or the top bit of the one
Yeah,
I got.
there we go.
Yep.
Because I can't
Yeah.
scroll down because
So
the way everything's zoomed in, so I
sure.
can't
Yeah.
scroll down on pictures.
So they give them a name, and then I may rename them. But this was Pickles the alligator, and then I decided to keep that as a surname. So the first name is Dylan,
Of course.
um, Dill for short. So it's Dill Pickles.
Okay.
Middle name is Emma, so she's Dylan Emma Pickles. Dill Emma. You're in
Oh.
a pickle. You've got
You've
a
got
dilemma.
dilemma. Oh gosh, the puns. I love it.
Multi-level. It's a multi-level pun. Dill
Yeah,
pickle. Dilemma. Yeah.
I love it.
So
Uh,
that's the smallest gator in my bed.
Things you never thought you'd say on Twitch.
Oh, I say it all the time. But the the other one, the other two are from Creep Cat, and there's the long gator and the flat gator.
All
So
right, so creep cat
yeah, I think
and
Creep Cat Toys might be. I'm not sure. They email me and I say yes, take my money. So yeah,
toy company. Okay, creep cat toys. Oh, they have gators exclamation point on
they
there.
have many
So
gators.
yeah,
They
I
have
see
many
that.
many gators.
It was
Yeah,
literally an exclamation point.
yeah. Prim has two. Okay, so the one on the right is the large flat gator. They say it's a 24 inch. I have the 60-inch version of it. That's
Oh,
a 15 that you're looking at there, but it's same design, but full 5 feet long.
is it 6 foot plush gator?
The 6 foot plush gator is the other one I have. Yeah, so I have both of those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Meredith.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
hide the price tag. There we go. We won't want to.
I got it on sale because again I pre-ordered
Okay.
and I pre-ordered like a year before it existed, I think.
Oh, that's
They're like,
awesome.
if we get enough people backing this, we'll make it. And I was like,
Please
sign
make
me up.
this. Take my money.
Yeah. That was my I had two crazed pandemic purchases just when it was just like I can't handle this anymore.
Right.
I'm gonna start spending some money. And one of those things was that 6 foot gator,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was my ridiculously expensive close-up mat that at the time seemed like an insane extravagance because when was I ever going to use it? And
Right.
now I use it
All the
all the time.
time.
So that
Yeah.
turned out to be a good investment. And they both did because, that's how I sleep at night.
Right. It's like a body
Nestled
pillow.
into a huge pile of gators.
Yeah, and I just love how your mat has stood the test of time of party poppers and fire and wax and it held up.
Yeah,
So it was a good investment.
it's not pretty from this end. It's not pretty. It's pretty battle scarred at this
Yeah.
point. But I did order a replacement top for it, and it's still on back order. I ordered that probably in October,
Oh wow.
and it still hasn't shipped from Europe. So, but
Mm,
I also, when I was buying a replacement black top because it's a modular surface, I also ordered a burgundy one. So, in theory, someday I'll have another black one and a burgundy one. But for Twitch, I'll probably always use this because it's just going to get melted. That's just
right.
what's going to happen. I'm going to keep dropping burning things on it.
Sleeping next to a
Sleeping next to a
pile.
pile of gators,
Yeah.
Giselle, I sleep in the middle of a pile of gators. I have gators on either side. It's great. It's usually one on one side, one on the other side, and one on top. That's just that's how I death roll.
So
Yeah.
you love animals.
Yeah.
We stuffed and real. If you had to pick your top three besides gators, what would be? Yeah.
Theoretically or like
No, like
practically,
no,
I
no,
want to.
they could be whatever you want and it could be like the Florida bush fly. Like it could be something
Right.
very specific.
Right, right, right. Because generally speaking, all cats, all dogs, for sure. But
Okay?
that's also not a very interesting answer. But like, I'm driving home today. There's a guy walking three dogs, and one of them is this tiny little lowrider corgi, and was adorable. So, I'm the guy that as you're driving past, I'm just like saying out the window, "I like your dog." Apropos of nothing, I'm just like, "Hey, I like your dog." That's that's what happens with me. Possums, big on possums for sure.
Now is it opossum or possum?
It's technically
Okay.
opossum for what we're talking about in this country, but there's also a possum, which is a slightly different thing, or
Right.
depending on who you talk to, a very different thing. Yeah, see, look, the whole thing of the babies hanging off the mom. I mean, how do you not love that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's totally ridiculous. So that's technically an opossum, but most, colloquially people just say possum.
That's
Yeah, look
so
at that.
cute.
That's how they travel with their babies.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they just pile on, and then the mom goes walking around. It's great. Um,
Galvos is of the idea that it's a nightmare fuel.
nightmare fuel. Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
get it. I get it. Cockapose and Fluff Nest just yesterday, I believe, sent me email saying, um, so pre-order now. We've got a new Kakapo coming out.
oh my
And
gosh.
and they're like, if you order within the first hour, it's 20% off. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing this because I can't pass that up.
Right.
Kakapos are New Zealand's flightless ground parrots. They're some of the dorkiest and dumbest birds you'll ever see. It's K-O,
Thank
oh,
you.
sorry, Kakapo, I
Oh
believe.
man, was I having some problems with that.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's a bird.
there it is.
Oh, an
There you go.
owl parrot. That's a weird one.
Look at the face. Doesn't that face just say, I have no idea what's going on right now?
Absolutely.
Because they have no idea. And that's the thing. They evolved um, with no natural predators, which is why they don't fly. They have no reason to fly. Flight is uh, incredibly biologically expensive. It takes a ridiculous amount of energy
Right.
to, you know, achieve and then stay airborne, achieve flight and stay airborne. And they had no reason to fly. They had nothing to get away from, so they stopped flying. And then ships with people on them started showing up, and those ships had rats and cats on them. And now there are cats and rats on the islands where these birds live, and they have no idea that they're a threat. So they just kind of stand there with that look on their face while a cat comes up and kills and eats them.
Oh
And
my
so now
god.
they're seriously endangered. A couple of years ago, I think there were only like 200 left, but they're starting to come back now. And they have insane levels of difficulty breeding them because they since they evolved with no predators, evolution actually favored difficult breeding because
Oh.
if it was too easy to reproduce, then they would overpopulate and starve. So they've got this mating ritual, which is insanely long and complicated and doomed to fail in like 9 out of 10 cases. And that keeps the population at a reasonable level until you start bringing cats and rats into the equation.
Right.
But the male's mating call is like an almost subsonic boom. Like they back up against a big flat rock and they boom. And
Wow.
you know subwoofers? You know how you can put a subwoofer
Boom,
anywhere
boom,
in the room?
boom, boom.
Because
Yeah.
you can't tell where the bass is coming from.
Yeah.
Guess what makes for a terrible mating call?
A giant boom.
Yeah, a low bass note that you can't tell where it's coming from. So you have this male kakapo going, "Come and get it, ladies," and the ladies are all like, "Where is that coming from?"
I don't know
And
if you'll be able to hear this, but hopefully chat can.
hmm,
I love how it's captioning this, by the way. It's saying bloop, bloop, bloop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's what it sounds like, just so you have an idea of what you were missing.
apparently
Um,
it's really hard to hear what direction that's coming from, so it makes for like the least effective mating call in biological history. Um,
yeah, to
yeah, there
attract
you go.
females, they make a low frequency below 100 hertz booming call from their bowels? Bowls.
Bowls, bowls. Yeah, they
It's
sound a
like,
little like hollow. They get into like a rock hollow, so it
okay.
projects outward, but you can't really tell
Which, yeah,
where it's
but
coming from.
after
It's
a
great.
sequence of 20 loud booms, the male emits a high frequency metallic ching noise. He stands for a short while before lowering his head, inflating his chest, and starting another sequence of booms.
They're ridiculous animals, and I love them to death. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, look at these little hatchlings. They're they're something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think the bird is cuter than the hatchlings, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, you know. So Fluff Nest has a stuffed kakapo coming out, so
Oh
I've
my
pre-ordered it
gosh.
because
Of
they're much neat.
course. I think
Uh,
the oh, where is this? It says New where is this at? New Zealand? Is that where I'm looking at? Yeah,
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand.
Yeah, they're native to New Zealand.
Okay, so speak about New Zealand. What this is not a segue. Australia. So
This is not a segment.
segues are hard. Okay, so the the what is it like living in the southern hemisphere? Like, to me, my mind is completely blown that summer is winter and winter is summer. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how do
Christmas
you
is there.
process
Yeah.
that when the rest of the world is celebrating Christmas? I mean, you've got South America, but isn't South America only like half of it is below, or is the whole thing of South America below the southern hemisphere? Let's
You're
find
asking the
out. I
wrong
know
person.
I do
Yeah,
geology
if
horribly.
you take me to the corner and spin me around twice, I'm lost. So I have no sense of direction. I'm terrible with maps. I'm terrible with all that stuff. Um, so I don't know, but um, we were in Melbourne, which is the furthest south major city on the continent. Like you can go to Tasmania and go further south, but that means it was the least boiling
Right.
in summer because we were closer to the South Pole, and it was still really freaking hot for me, at least. Um, you know, getting over 100 degrees Fahrenheit fairly often. Not like every day or anything, but often enough where the fact that there was no air conditioning anywhere was was problematic for me.
Wow.
Um, there
Yeah.
were two places with air conditioning at the time, and then while I was there, a third one appeared. So there was the public library, there was the movie theater, and then after we'd been there for a while, the first supermarket opened up.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
the supermarket, because before that, you're doing all your shopping at the open air market with all the rotting meat in the 95-degree sun, all that fun stuff. Yeah, the smell of that place, the meat market in summer. Wow, that was I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, that's
that's
what that smells like. Now I know.
no
I'll never
bueno.
forget it. Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, most of the world lives in the, as far as population,
yeah.
lives
Population
in
wise.
the northern hemisphere. So traditions like Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. I mean, you guys still celebrated those. It's just you celebrated
Yeah,
those in a different summer. Like
yeah.
it just
It's
it's
summer.
so weird.
Yeah, it's the height of summer. We have family photographs. We're all in the blazing sun in shorts around a Christmas tree. Yeah,
Wow.
very very strange. But it was really good for me. I mean, it was really good for me to have that at the age of 7. Be like, okay, that's a thing.
Right.
It's kind of arbitrary that Christmas is when it's cold. It could just as well be when it's hot. This
Right.
is good information. This is good to know. A lot of stuff is just we decided to do it that way, but we could have decided something else. Like you get there and all the cars are on the other side of the road, and it's like, oh right, because why not?
Right.
Why couldn't it have been the left instead of the right? And it could have been, and here it is. Okay, so it was very probably more than anything else, probably the most formative thing about the way my brain works was at a very young age being exposed to something so different or many things that were so different and therefore being able to understand at an early age how many things we just take for granted are the way they are instead of thinking, well, they could have been something else.
Right.
So that's really nice. So when Prim was like 8 or 9, we said let's go to London. Because I kind of wanted to give that same sort of experience,
Experience.
however briefly.
Yeah.
I was like, you're at an age where I think this would be good for you, to see something very different. And it's not that different. Like it's not like we were going off to a completely different society or something like that, but it was different enough. I was hoping to sort of bestow that gift of maybe you can codify the notion that just because things are a certain way doesn't mean that they had to be that way.
Right. Let's
Like,
think about the metric system for a minute.
yeah, exactly. Oh, Australia's on the metric system. Great. Okay. Oh, the temperature, it's all in Celsius. Okay, cool. We can deal with that.
Right.
And we come back here and it's like, oh, we're the only people who use Fahrenheit. Okay. Like us and 2 other countries.
Yeah.
Uh, and I
Your dad
remember
says
I
we
think,
would walk down the street in Melbourne in December looking at the Christmas decorations in the store windows, lots of cotton snow.
no, yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
And
Midnight Shadow.
hi Midnight Shadow Gaming, how you doing?
Yeah.
Um
Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in.
So, what's my final question about that is you're closer to the South Pole, and
Yes,
say Alaska's closer to the North Pole. So, they have the sun differences where they have so much days of sun and
right.
so many days of not sun. Is it like that in Australia, or are you not close enough to the
Not
pole?
close enough. Yeah. So
Okay.
even this, so Melbourne, which is at the southernmost tip of the eastern side of the continent,
Hmm.
um, even at that latitude, it's still hotter there than it is in Boston in the summer.
Wow.
And it doesn't even snow. Like it doesn't even get cold enough to snow. So it's um, the days would be. I mean, if we were to reason that out, it means that the days would be even more variable than they are in like Boston.
Right. Yeah, Boston, the East Coast has some days, but I got to tell you, moving to the Midwest, man, we've got much worse problems than the East Coast.
Well,
um,
different problems. Different
different
problems.
problems. You're right. I should say different problems. Because again, living on the East Coast, I had hurricanes. I had, hurricane and Hurricane Sandy, and all
Yeah.
of that. Like we went through that, but at the same token, we've got tornadoes out here. I've been
Uh,
through those. But the East Coast to me always had seasons,
Yes.
and Midwest has daily seasons, even hourly seasons, where it
It
was
changed.
60 degrees in one day morning and came down to 20 degrees by night.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of that is, well, I mean, I can't make the pronouncement for sure, but having grown up in the Midwest as well, um, it's everything about the weather patterns right now is more variable than it was 40 years ago. So um, predicting the weather has turned into a really interesting thing, I think, because the way we predict it and always have is by looking at current conditions and comparing it to data of the past and saying, in the past, statistically, the 20 times that conditions were basically like they are right now, here's what happened next.
Right.
That doesn't apply anymore because we kind of broke the jet stream, so things are all over the place, and so we have much better computer models, but also the models don't apply as much.
Right.
So
The
when they're
formula
accurate,
is
they're
weird
very
now.
accurate, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're just way off.
I
It's
look
getting
at my weather app, and it's sometimes is it like the week for the week. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get extreme highs and then extreme lows during later in the week. You're gonna get down to 19, and then I look at it the next day, and it's like your low for the week is gonna be 30. And then
right.
they go to the next day, and it's like you're gonna have a day of 68 degrees, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, well, the closer they get to the actual thing, the better the model can predict, right? Because it's
Right.
going to be like if you have a boat in the ocean, you generally know what the currents are going to do if you leave that boat flowing rudderless. But if you're trying to predict where that boat's going to be in a week, you're going to be a lot less accurate than predicting where it's going to be in a day.
Right.
So the closer you get to the event, the better off the better you are at predicting what's going to actually happen. So yeah, if you're looking 3 days ahead, they may say it's gonna rain 90% chance, and then the next day it might suddenly say actually 30% chance, and then
Right.
the day after that they're like actually tomorrow the sun's gonna explode.
Torrential downpour while the sun explodes. It's fine.
While the sun explodes, yes.
We went to British Virgin Islands, and we were so scared because the first day we flew into Puerto Rico, it was pouring, and we had to take a propeller plane over to BVI.
Mm,
And so they're like, no, we're not doing it. So we're like, oh my God, this is terrible. So the next day, they're like, look, we've got this window. We're going to go during this window. So we went during the window, and the forecast for the week said rain every single day. I'll tell you right now, it rained maybe 15 minutes every day, and that's it. We had a fantastic vacation. We were all stressed out
okay.
for weeks of, ahead of time, and it turns out it was completely fine. So weather is false. I don't believe in weather anymore. It's a farce.
It
Um,
yeah, it's a really interesting science. And I think it's gotten much more interesting in the past couple of decades because you know, things are getting tricky. Things are getting
yeah.
trickier than they were before. again, the tools are getting better, but the situation is getting less predictable. So,
Yep, absolutely. Weather
what the heck?
Underground always means something different to me. It was the original name for what became the Weatherman, the radical group.
Yes.
What does
Yeah,
that
yeah,
mean?
it was a radical political group, the Weather Underground. So, Dad, I'm pretty sure that's why they called it that. That's why the website Weather Underground is named that. They're named after the radical political group. So,
Interesting. So I have Trader Joe's pulled up. Let's
okay.
let's talk about how you broke the Trader Joe's uh, system buying flour, getting free flowers.
Yeah. Well, okay. A lot of that comes down to the same sort of stuff as why I do magic. Because it's like, well, how do you determine patterns and systems, and how do you exploit them, and how do you make them do what you want them to do? And so Trader Joe's, for those of you who don't know, it's a grocery store chain that curates the kinds of things they buy. They don't usually they carry very few brand name items, but all of their own branded items are actually rebranded from the best stuff by their own determination that you can get that is under a real brand. So you can go to Whole Foods and get some brand of frozen frittatas. And if you go to Trader Joe's, it's possible that you get the exact same thing, but they're Trader Joe's frozen frittatas for a lot less money. Um, so there's one right up the street
Yeah, it
from my
says
house.
its company's offices is in Boston, Massachusetts.
News to me.
Really? I figured
Yeah,
it was a Boston thing.
no, no, very much not. In fact, I remember when the first one here opened, and it was all the transplants. Like this guy at work who was from California, he was like, "Did you hear? There's Trader Joe's coming." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You'll find out," and I did find out, and I'm very happy I found out. But one opened like 10-minute walk from my house.
Oh
It's like
wow.
less than half a mile from my house. So yeah, I used to go there basically every day because I could.
Right.
So it was kind of nice to be like, well, I don't have to think about what I need for the week. I just need to think about what I want for dinner tonight, and I'll go over and I'll get it, take it home, cook it up. And also, when Prim was a baby, it was an easy thing, throw baby in carriage or in Snuggly, and then go to Trader Joe's and buy a few things, walk back with them. It keeps the kid entertained because that was 90% of
Right.
being a stay-at-home dad is how do you keep the kid entertained, especially when as a baby. So Trader Joe's, I don't know if this is still the case, certainly at the time, they had a reputation for corporate basically having the attitude of, we're going to let you know certain things that your store needs to do, but we're going to give the manager of each individual store kind of a lot of leeway in how they want to run things, which is pretty great. In my mind, that's a really nice way for a corporation to behave to its franchisees. And so the manager at my local Trader Joe's decided they wanted to build a Wheel of Joe, which was a game show wheel, like a real game show reel. They built it out of wood and painted it up. Every Trader Joe's store, by the way, has a store artist. That's a position in the store, and they hand paint all of the signs in the store and
Wow.
all of the little tags that go on the shelves with all the product names and prices. There's somebody in each store that is the artist for that store. I mean, it's a really interesting chain. So they built this spinning wheel, game show wheel with a little peg in it goes clackety clackety as it goes around, and then it stops with the arrow pointing at a certain thing. And the idea was if your grocery bill at checkout, after they totaled everything up and added whatever tax, if it came out to be an even dollar number, like you're buying your detergent, your bananas, your boxed salad, and your French berry lemonade, and it comes out to be $17 even, you win a spin on the Wheel of Joe. And they'd play like the bell would ring and lights would go off, and then they'd lead you over to the Wheel of Joe, and they had special lights trained on it, so everybody's watching. You spin the wheel and you would win a prize, and the prizes were pretty nominal. You either got spin again, in which case you spin again. You got free fruit leather, So you could choose, your favorite flavor of fruit leather. You could get any bag of chips or cookies, which was pretty cool because some of them are amazing. And the top prize money wise was you could pick any bouquet of flowers. So a bouquet of flowers, the most expensive ones were like 12 or $13. Well, I can do math in my head fairly well, and I've got a baby with me who likes the flashing lights and the spinny wheel. And I'm trying to entertain this tiny child. So every time we would go to Trader Joe's, which was most days, um, I would keep a running total of the stuff that we were buying, and then say, okay, what do I need to add to this in order to get to an even dollar value so we can spin the wheel of Joe? And I would hit it like, 4 times out of five. Sometimes I would be like, oh, I forgot there's sales tax on toothpaste, so I screwed that up. And then the kid would be like, no Wheel of Joe? Yeah, no Wheel of Joe. Sorry, not today. But they got so used to it that really when eventually it was just like that was what happens when you go to the store is you spin the Wheel of Joe. And I would let them spin it, in the snuggly. I'd be like, okay, go reach over, pull the thing. And eventually it was just like, that's just part of buying food. That's
Right.
just what you do. You buy food, you spin the Wheel of Joe. Um, but eventually they got tired of me winning all the time. I assume it's me. I assume it's my fault. I assume I was the one who broke it. I ruined it for everyone. Sorry, that's what I do. I ruin things for everyone. So they tried to make it harder, and so they changed it from an even dollar number to the last three digits being the same digit. So instead of if it was $17 even, if you got 1777, which is no harder. It's still
No,
just
it's
a
still math. Yeah.
yeah. So I just kept winning, and we kept spinning the wheel of Joe. And I always wanted to get the chips and cookies, to be honest, because I can eat those.
Right.
And we would frequently get the free bouquet of flowers, and honestly, I do not care about flowers in the slightest.
Yeah.
But we would have so many flowers, and I was going to be like, oh, great, we won a bouquet of flowers.
Right.
Yay. And then we'd bring them home, put them in yet another vase, and we'd have flowers all over the house, which, depending on who you are, is cool. For me, it was just like, all right, there's flowers here, whatever.
Right.
Where's my chips? Where's my junk food? But
You couldn't trade it in. You couldn't be like, "Hey,
no, you couldn't
no."
trade down. No, it's like whatever you spun, that was what you got. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. It's kindergarten rules,
I get
right?
that, but trading down to me would feel smarter than if you're trading up.
You'd think so, but
Oh my god. That's so
but it
funny
was
though.
fine. It was fine. And then apparently, what happened is, the wheel of Joe disappeared one day, and I'm like, well, I killed it. I killed it for everyone. But actually, what happened was management changed. And the new manager was like, what the hell is that thing? Get that out of here. And I was talking to a bunch of the workers, and they were not happy with the new manager. I don't
Oh
know
no.
what happened after that. But basically, a lot of the cool things about that store went away when management changed. They used to give away free helium balloons to everybody who was there with a kid who, they would be like, would you like a balloon? And if the kid wanted a balloon and the parents were okay with it, they had a helium tank. They would blow up a helium balloon, tie it to a ribbon, and give
Wow.
it to you. And so we also had free balloons
Right.
all over the house. And when they started losing helium, they would follow you around the room. Have you ever had that happen where they're
Yeah.
floating like, halfway down the room, and when you walk past, the air currents make them follow you? So we had creepy ghost balloons throughout the house trailing these ribbons.
That's literally what's happening in our living room right now.
Oh, cool.
Because we have three balloons. Two of them are birthday balloons and one of them is a Valentine's Day balloon. And these two birthday balloons are from January 11th and they're still floating. Okay, now I cut off the ribbons because I didn't want my cats to choke on them, and they managed
Right.
to cut it from its bottom piece and bring it over to the couch and tuck it under a blanket. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. My cats are ninjas. But now I cut the
Wow.
strings, and every single time I move around, these balloons just kind of follow you. So,
Wow.
yeah. And Sencha, I was waiting for you to pop up when he said flowers. I was like, I wonder
Yeah,
where
I assumed,
Sencha is, and there he
yeah,
is.
I assumed he was gonna pop in. Sancha, I actually did not know. I was like, are you actually interested in like cut flowers as well? Because I mean, to me, I would part of me thinks that you would be like, well, that's a waste. Why would you cut the flowers? You know, why? So I don't know.
He's gonna
But yeah,
send
you
you a
know,
bouquet, Sencha.
yeah. But
Uh,
again, if he had cut flowers, he could just resurrect them into a full plant. So I guess that's the answer. So,
that's true. So, what's your
but
brand
Trader
of?
Joe's, I mean, to this day, what's really cool about them is for me, I'm vegan, and they have lots of vegan stuff, and they keep adding new vegan stuff. But they are constantly turning things over. So I've had my heart broken umpteen times. Like you fall in love
Mm,
with a product, and then now it's gone forever. You know,
right.
I used to have these amazing frozen burritos that I used to get all the time, and um, Prim has determined that this is the saddest food in the world. Is I would frequently take out of my freezer in the morning when I was going to work. I would grab a twin pack of Trader Joe's frozen burritos, bring them to work, put them on top of the server, and the heat of the server would thaw them. I'd have to remember to flip them over about halfway through the morning. And so then by the time that I needed food at lunchtime, they would have thawed out on top of the server, and I would just eat them with hot sauce. Server burritos. Prim says it's the saddest meal of all time. Um, and I'm like, you're not one to talk because you had a bowl of lettuce with ketchup on it, you know? So it's,
Oh my gosh, I hate ketchup so much. I know you didn't maybe mean ketchup, and maybe you did, but I hate ketchup so much. That just made me
no, it
gag.
was actually a bowl of lettuce with ketchup on
Oh
it.
my
Like that was all that was
god.
left. That was the only vegan option in the restaurant that they were in one night. They would
Wow.
rent like the only thing on the menu was like a garden salad, and I wasn't there. They were
Right.
there with their mom. So the only thing that was on the menu that they could eat because they were there with a bunch of people like at an event was a garden salad, and so they ordered the garden salad, and the place was so busy that they had run out of everything but the iceberg lettuce. So it wound up being a bowl of iceberg lettuce, and the only thing resembling dressing was ketchup.
Ketchup.
So they had a
Oh
bowl
my
of lettuce with
gosh.
ketchup on it. And I'm like,
Ugh.
if you seriously think that that is not as sad as server burritos, I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you.
Yep. I don't like the classic tastes. What?
Oh, and flowers.
Oh,
Oh
it's
boy,
like, why are you
flowers. Like,
eating
yeah.
flowers? If
Yeah.
I can grow my own red and black and purple and crazy flowers, maybe I could try some stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get behind red and black and purple and crazy flowers for sure.
Purple roses and blue roses are my absolute favorite. They're just so different.
Yeah.
No oil and vinegar, rage.
Yeah, I don't know if they didn't have it or if they were so slammed that there was no way to get it. Like, it would take an hour to get it if you actually wanted it. And it was like, well, starving to death, finally have my bowl of lettuce and there's ketchup on the table, that kind of thing.
Right, right.
I wasn't there, but I suspect that was the situation. They just were just short-staffed, and it took an hour to get the bowl of lettuce, and it's like, forget trying to ask for a dressing at this point. I don't know.
Bluish
Uh,
purple roses are sterlings, and they're my favorite flower. Galvos actually got me a blue flower in a silver container, and you open it up, and the blue flower's in there, and it's like preserved.
oh, I think I've seen that kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
Hmm.
He is very good at giving gifts. I didn't say was. I said is. Tell me about coffee, Jack. Uh,
Tell you about coffee. I love the flavor of coffee. I like good coffee, or at least decent coffee.
okay, so do we have a
Bad coffee
brand?
makes me sad. I only drink decaf because I gave up caffeine in like 1994, something like that. But I've always loved coffee since I started drinking coffee, like not decaf, at the age of like 4. I was the most caffeinated person on the MIT campus. That is saying something.
Okay.
I ran the semi-annual caffeine and hostess snack cakes feed.
Okay.
Caffeine and Hostess Snack Cakes feed. Yes. That was my doing. I ran that, pretty much the whole time I was there. And so I was all about caffeine. Just like people knew I was the one that was over caffeinated all the time. Though we have a local ice cream company that everybody loves, Toscanini's. They are really good. They make really good stuff. There was one on campus in the student center, and during finals week, they had a special one year. I think they did it every year eventually, where espressos were a quarter.
What?
20,
Why?
25 espressos. And so I had this enormous Coca-Cola drink mug. And so what I would do is go over there with that mug, give it to them, and say, keep pulling espressos until it's full. And they could put in like 40 espressos, and that would be like $10. And then I
Holy
would cover it,
shit.
put this thing in my fridge, and that would get me through finals week. Every time I needed to, I could just like go to the fridge and take a slug of cold espresso, and it was great. So yeah, I was caffeinated enough where you may or may not know caffeine is technically a poison. Uh, so if you have too much of it, that's why if you have too much caffeine, you start feeling nauseated
Mm-hmm.
because that's your body telling you you're eating poison. Stop that.
Right.
You know, we're going to get rid of it if you keep doing that. We're going to get rid of it one way or the other. Um, but I figured out, I figured out that that doesn't kick in, at least for me, if you alternate hot and cold caffeinated beverages. So I figured out a way to circumvent your body telling you it's being poisoned just to have more caffeine.
Oh
Yay
my
me!
gosh. Wait, so tell me about this. So hot and cold. So if you if I were to have an iced coffee and then I was going to have a regular coffee
Right.
and then I had an iced coffee, the caffeine wouldn't bother me or
Yeah, you're still caffeinating yourself. And again, I don't know if it works for everybody, but it certainly worked for me. Um, and I tested it. I tested it, but it would be like, it was a science place. So my admittedly non-rigorous test was I'd brew my usual coffee and I would drink hot coffee until I felt ill. And then the next day I would do the same thing, but I would alternate the hot coffee with refrigerated coffee. And I'd be like, I can drink like twice as much and I still don't feel ill. And so that would be my strategy during, finals weeks or whenever I had to stay up all night, which was frequently. Alternating hot and cold caffeinated beverages seems to reset the body's natural, let's get nauseated to stop you from ingesting this poison.
interesting. Yeah, Galvo
So
says cold liquids tend to absorb more slowly.
maybe that's why. Yeah, I didn't think of the why. It was more just,
It
okay, I
it
can keep,
worked.
yeah, I can keep drinking. So for me, it was more usually hot coffee and cold Jolt Cola,
Oh my
which
gosh.
I think they may have
They brought it
they may
back, I
have
thought.
actually test marketed on our campus because they knew this is where nobody sleeps. So this is a good place to try it. So in dorm rooms, if there's a molding running around near between the ceiling and the top of it's usually about a foot down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Along the wall, there might be a molding. So, in a lot of college dorm rooms, it's all like liquor bottles and empty beer bottles all the way around.
Okay.
For me, it was empty Jolt Cola bottles. And Jolt Cola, if you don't know, was a cola like Coke or Pepsi, but the whole point of it was it had twice the caffeine. So
Wow.
this is pre energy drinks.
Okay.
It was like a prototype energy drink. It didn't have taurine or anything like that. It was just cola that had twice as much caffeine,
Wow.
and I drank a lot of it. So
Yeah, the once upon a time, Galvos was addicted to Dr. Pepper, and I went down to where he was living at the time, and there was just Dr. Pepper bottles everywhere, and I was like, I can go bowling and knock down all these bottles because there are just so many of them. I don't know what it is about collecting bottles as proof that you drank that much? Like, why did you, 1 liter a day? Yeah, Galvus drank 1 liter a day of Dr. Pepper.
that's a fair amount of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just seeing that the bottle fit exactly in the space, and they're nice glass bottles. They were like that green tinted, not green green, not like green glass bottle, but
Right.
that very slight bluish green tint. And I liked the logo. The Jolt Cola logo had a lightning bolt and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just
Put it up in the.
started putting them up there instead of taking them back for. Yeah, it's not like again, this was forever ago. We didn't have curbside recycling or anything like that. So you
Right.
had to bring your bottles back, if you actually wanted to dispose of them responsibly. So I just collected them. It was,
That makes sense. Okay, so with the decaf only these days, you're talking about craft beer as well, but a non-alcoholic. So,
yeah,
when did you stop drinking alcohol?
I stopped drinking alcohol before I turned legal to drink alcohol. I've never had a legal alcoholic drink. I drank heavily for about a year in college, made some bad decisions, decided I don't like this, and just gave it up completely. And I'm not much of a moderation person.
Okay.
Have you gathered that? I tend
I
to just go full tilt one way or the other. So I determined that the best choice for me was to stop completely and I didn't really miss it. It wasn't something that I loved. So I'm just going to get rid of it, and that's probably the best choice for me. And it turns out it was an excellent choice for me because I'm still that way. Um, so yeah, I think 19. I think it was 19 when I went straight edge, and still am. So,
nice.
um,
The yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see going too hard and then being like, "We're done."
well,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't very bad, but it could have been worse, and it would have continued to get worse. But the specific thing that was the light bulb moment for me was being drunk enough to think it's a super good idea to go skateboarding barefoot.
oh my god, that's something my
And
brother would do.
yeah, turns out that was a poor choice. It
Yeah.
was a poor life choice, and so I decided I think I'm better off maybe making better decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Um, okay, so we're gonna go back to Australia for a minute and your
Okay.
obsession with Vegemite.
That's not an obsession. I just really like it.
I feel like if anyone likes Vegemite, then they have to have an obsession. They have to really like Vegemite.
Um,
I feel like nobody's
yeah, I
like,
mean,
oh, Vegemite's okay. I feel like everybody's like,
Vegemite's kind
love
of a
it or
bad rap
hate
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vegemite's a bad rap. It's very polarizing. It's one of those products that most people either love or hate. There's not a lot of middle ground. I've met a few people who are like, yeah, it's fine, but that's pretty rare. Most people I know who have tried it hate it, and the people who don't hate it generally love it. So and people always ask who haven't had it. They always ask me, well, what does it taste like? And I tried for many years to describe in a way that really gives the full effect, and there's no good way to do it. But the simplest way to describe it that seems to give like 80% of the knowledge you need to make a decision of whether you need to try it is, to me, it's very similar to the saltiness and flavor of soy sauce. So if you like soy sauce, if you like pouring soy sauce on things and you like that umami with a lot of salt kind of thing that imparts, the way to think about Vegemite is it's basically spreadable soy sauce. If you've ever had a sandwich where you were like, this would actually be good with soy sauce on it, but you don't want to pour soy sauce on a sandwich, that's what Vegemite does, is it lets you basically spread soy sauce on a sandwich. Uh,
Interesting.
when I
Sencha
tell people
says
that, they're like, oh, that
capers.
doesn't sound so bad. I'm like, yeah, you know. Um,
Why is Sencha saying capers? Is that what it sounds like? Or that it tastes like capers?
I mean, I like capers, but no, to me, it doesn't taste like capers. I don't know. But I have a weird palate also, so, people should be aware my palate is probably not like Earth palates.
Hmm.
Um, but when I talk to other people who eat Vegemite, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. It is basically, that kind of thing. It's like soy sauce. But
I
so,
would like to try it. It's
well,
vegan, kosher, and halal.
yeah, the biggest mistake people make when trying it is they use way too much. So a serving, according to the label, is like 4 grams. A gram is like a paperclip
Wow.
in weight. So what you're seeing there
Hmm.
is on that slice of bread, that's probably about the 1 gram serving.
Hmm.
But for newbies, I usually tell people the best way to try it is slice of bread, butter it, and purists will be like, butter it? And like, yeah, for people who are trying it for the first time, buttered bread and then just basically lightly color the top of it with Vegemite and see what you think, you know? Because some people are going to be like, oh God, no. this is terrible. I don't want this anywhere near me, and that's fine. But that would be the way I would recommend people to try it. A lot of people who tried it, like Amanda Palmer famously was pranked by a British neighbor into trying Marmite by being told it was chocolate. Now imagine that much, like again, this is very strong stuff. So imagine drinking soy sauce,
Ugh.
thinking you're getting chocolate milk. Of course you're gonna hate it. You
Right.
know, it's a terrible thing to do to anybody. So it's very strong stuff. Try just a little bit on top of some bread and butter, see what you think, and then go from there. Personally, I love this stuff, and I usually put like 3 or 4 servings on a sandwich because I like strong flavors. But whatever.
The Vegemite, did you first taste that in Australia, or is that something that was like in your household, or?
I mean, it was kind of hard to avoid in Australia, and I didn't really get into it that much. I wasn't crazy about it in Australia, but my palate was also, I was an 8-year-old, you know. Um, yeah, I was 7 and 8 when I was in Australia, but um, I liked it okay. It would be like I'd be at a party. We didn't have it at the house, but I'd be at like a friend's or I'd go to a birthday party or something like that, and there would be basically Vegemite on bread and butter kind of thing
Yeah.
alongside the fairy bread. And as an 8-year-old, most 8-year-olds would be gravitating towards the fairy bread, but I think I probably would prefer Vegemite. I mean, I still like fairy bread. Don't get me wrong, but it's I if you give me the choice between sweet and salty, I'll usually pick salty.
What is this madness?
Yeah, fairy bread is white bread with butter on it, covered with sprinkles.
What is
It
this
is a
madness?
mainstay at Australian little kids' birthday parties and like
It's
school
just fucking
school
bread
events.
and sprinkles.
It's bread, butter, and sprinkles. Yep, that's it. That's it. It's the whole thing.
It makes
It
it
is
sound
one
so
hell of a
elegant.
country, I'm telling you.
Oh my god,
My
it makes it sound so elegant, and it's just friggin' white bread and
friggin'
sprinkles.
white bread, and it's got to be white bread. I've made it. I've made it with like good bread, and it's not the same, you know. And I only just realized like 2 days ago, Trader Joe's just introduced vegan brioche bread,
Ooh.
and I bought some and I made French toast out of it. I made brioche French toast, and it was fantastic. But now, 2 days ago, I was like, oh my God, I could make like fairy bread with it and it would be perfect. It's like very soft, very spongy, white bread, perfect consistency for fairy bread. And I've still got vegan sprinkles from when I found a place that made vegan sprinkles. And I was like, oh my God, because in this picture, the traditional fairy bread is the one with the multicolored, like the rainbow
Okay.
colored dots, like
Got
the
it.
little spheres. They call them hundreds and thousands.
Okay.
That's the traditional fairy bread sprinkle, right? And I found a place in Canada that makes vegan ones, and so I ordered them. I'm like, oh my God, I can make fairy bread, and I did, and I sometimes still do, but I still have those. So now that I can go get vegan brioche bread, I'm gonna be making vegan fairy bread, and it's gonna be awesome.
Now, I assume Fluff, the Fluff brand, isn't vegan. Is that true?
Marshmallow fluff, yeah, it's not vegan, but there are vegan versions of it that have existed.
So
I think,
why aren't they using fluff instead of butter? Because to me, if
well,
you're gonna go ahead and make like a dessert, it's just like butter and sprinkles to me, or like fluff and sprinkles.
yeah, but I don't think it's over there.
Oh, okay.
Marshmallow fluff is actually a Massachusetts thing.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. There's
wow.
plenty of places in this country where they're like, "What the hell are you talking about a fluffer nutter? What are you talking about
Yeah.
marshmallow fluff?" So you find it in the Northeast for sure. You
Hmm.
can find it in the Midwest. It's spread to the Midwest. But like me growing up in like the Midwest, it was uncommon at best. Um, I think the fluffer nutter might be the Massachusetts like state sandwich.
That's
I think.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
they love it in New Orleans.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, marshmallow fluff. There was a company that briefly made a vegan marshmallow fluff, which was really good, and so I did fluffernutters for. But again, it's a very sweet sandwich, so it was more for the, oh yeah, I'm gonna have this again, and then I had it, and I was like, okay, that's done. Moving on.
right.
No, it's not really. I wasn't like, oh, good, I can do this again, and I'm going to keep doing it. It was just like, I think I can do this one more time, and then I'm done with it.
My current obsession, which is in my fridge right now, is a flour tortilla. I get the carb balance one to pretend that I'm anything but not eating a tortilla. So a carb free tortilla with crunchy peanut butter on one side, and then creamed honey. So it actually comes from like people who own bees, not like exploit bees, and it's creamed, which is
Yeah,
delicious. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And
That's
so
usually
usually I'll use either cinnamon or vanilla chai.
okay.
Okay, and then I go ahead and put banana slices over the peanut butter, the crunchy peanut butter. And then I put granola on top of the bananas, and then I smush it all together into this little quesadilla of joy.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
my when Marshmallow Fluff came out in the Midwest in the 1950s, we all had it.
Yeah, so that's why I want to look it up now. So I'm in Wikipedia too. Yeah,
Oh,
debuted
okay.
in 1918 in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Was the Fluffernutter.
No, not
Yeah, for
band.
the
I don't
brand.
want the fluff. I want fluff. What do you call it? Fluffinator or
Well, in Wikipedia, it was redirected to Marshmallow Creme
got it.
because the brand name of the main brand is Marshmallow Fluff.
Got it. Okay. Bring bed brother and sprinkles.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that. See, around the beginning of the 20th century, Somerville, Massachusetts resident and inventor of the product, Archibald Query, started selling his version door to door, afterwards sold the recipe to two candy makers in Lynn, Massachusetts. I used to live in Somerville. It's right across the city line here.
Oh wow.
It's where I lived before I moved to this place,
Non-doxing
He sold
place.
the recipe for $500, which
Wow.
100 years ago was probably a fortune.
Right.
Um, Product first hit market shelves in cans as Toot Sweet Marshmallow Fluff in 1917.
I
So,
didn't realize that it's craft.
well, I think it got sold to Kraft. Yeah, eventually.
Interesting.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says fluff continues to be a regional tradition in the northeastern United States.
Yeah. Fluffinator, according to 2006 Boston Globe, proposed a restriction on the number of weekly servings Fluffinator sandwich in the form of the amendment to a bill that would limit junk food in schools.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if there was a backlash to that.
Oh,
It's a
that's
big thing out
funny.
here. It's apparently a big thing out here, but I don't
That's
really know people or talk to people, so I can't say for sure. But yeah, at some point I found out that marshmallow fluff was a Massachusetts thing, and there you go.
wow. Um,
Yeah, books is just about the PB and J. I mean, I was always more about PB and J for sure.
Yeah,
It was
we didn't have fluff in my house, but when we went over other people's houses, I definitely was like, can I have fluff? My mom makes it." And, just lied through my teeth so I can get some of that sweet, sweet good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody does that for something. I think my girlfriend used to only be able to eat like good cereal at like friends' sleepovers, basically.
Yeah.
Like their parents wouldn't let them have sugar cereals in the house, so it was all just like, you know, corn flakes or
Right,
whatever. Which
right.
I like, but as a kid, you're seeing commercials for tricks. How come we don't have tricks? Well, because it'll kill you.
Right. Because
Yeah,
it's
but
not a part of
tricks.
this balanced breakfast. I don't know who's
Yeah.
balancing this.
Well, it's part of this balanced breakfast because they're showing you a steak, and yeah. So it's a part of the balanced breakfast in the sense that it's in the same picture that they're taking of the balanced breakfast. It adds nothing, but
Lone Ronan said, "My grandmother used to put it in grasshopper pie, which is a mint chocolate pie, and I put there's a picture up here, but I don't really care for mint as
well, I like mint
much.
chocolate. Mint on its own, I'm not usually a big fan of, but mint and chocolate for me is a winning combination. And when I was drinking, I was a girl drink drunk, and one of my favorite drinks was a grasshopper for sure, which is a mint chocolate uh, drink. So
See, Moscow mules give me the heebie-jeebies because of the mint, right?
I
Moscow
don't
mules
I,
have the
I don't think
mint.
I've ever had one. I don't
Yeah,
know what's so.
yeah. Okay, we're going on a hard right here. I pulled it up a
Okay.
second ago. So TCM.
TCM. Oh, Turner Classic Movies. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So,
It's a good channel to have. I'm really glad I have access to it. So
I love grinded up grasshoppers. Defiled entrails. Hello. Um,
Defiled. Like
um,
you always know when he enters a chat room.
yeah.
You,
He
you
loves
can't you
grinded
can't
up
deny that. You can
grasshoppers. I
always
mean,
tell.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have cable, I'm assuming, or do you just have TCM as a plus network?
Well, the interesting thing is, I don't know if you can have it without having a cable thing. I know you can't, or at least it used to be, you couldn't just like pay for access to their app.
Okay.
The only access to the app was to subscribe via cable. I do have a cable subscription because uh, it's bundled with my internet connection, and I need the internet connection.
Right.
And if I got rid of the cable package, then I would be paying more for the internet connection. I mean, not more for the whole thing, but then I would also lose access to all the channels I subscribe to, which I'll watch on demand. I haven't watched actual cable. I've watched it once in the past like 3 years, and that was because my girlfriend came over and wanted to watch Saturday Night Live because somebody she knew was going to be on it. And I was like, let me see if I can find the remote. Like, I
Right,
don't even
right.
know where it is anymore. Um,
That's funny. So what movies are, the owner is Warner Brothers. What kind of movies are we talking about? Are you just loving.
so what's fun about TCM for me is instead of having like here is a huge bunch of movies that you can watch at any time and every month some leave and some come back because they're going to other channels, other subscription services. They basically every day will put in like 5 movies and take 5 out.
Okay.
So I can check it every day and be like, well, what do we have today for the next 3 days? It's not. So there's more of a sense of like old school watching TV
Right.
instead of, well, I can watch this whenever. They have it, I'll get to it eventually. It's like, oh, they have it, but it's only on for 3 days. So
Do you
I need
have TiVo? I don't even know if TiVo exists anymore, but do you
I do
have.
actually have TiVo, but again, I don't use it
Right.
because that's how I get my cable, and I don't really watch cable. But with the Turner Classic Movies app, it's just which I run on my TV. I just pull it up and be like, oh, okay, today so like I checked last night and Double Indemnity was on and it'll be on for another few days, and so I add it to my list because I love that movie. And I usually use it. I should be watching more things I haven't seen, but I have not that much time to watch things, and also I like to multitask because again, I don't have a lot of time. So if I need something to watch while I'm on the treadmill or something like that, it's hard to pay attention
Right.
to something I haven't seen before. So I'll put on something that I've seen a million times because I love it, and also if I look away, it's not a big deal. I'm not missing anything.
Absolutely. And that's why I will watch things like Bones. I can't find it anymore. It's off all the streaming services, but like
Is it?
Bones and
I thought it was on. I thought I just saw it on something.
I only have Hulu and Netflix. So if it's not on the
Okay.
two of them, then I don't see it.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think
Bones was amazing. The not Deception. What is it called? Um, oh, it's where he gets basically he can determine lies by just looking the mentalist.
The Mentalist. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't seen it. It's on my list.
It's good.
So, Just Watch may be out of date, but I've usually found them to be fine. They're saying it's still on Hulu. Bones.
Oh, okay. Then
So
note
double
to
check.
self.
It is on Freevee, which I don't know if there's a way to watch free. Like I watch Freevee things for free via Prime,
Hmm.
but
Lie to me. That's what it is. Thank you, honey.
oh, lie to me. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was the mentalist, but it's lie to me. Thank you, babe.
Okay.
Um,
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
he
I don't know much about
basically
Double
he
Feature, a little bit.
basically can determine lies just by looking at certain and they teach you what certain things happen, like why the Bill Clinton and how he was lying and what determined that sort of behavior. And at that time I was in college and I was learning those exact things about lying, and I was just the show was great. Anyway, trailing off here. So TCM, Gizmo says that the OG host died.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. There's been a bunch. Um, so if you watch the actual channel, they would frequently have like people come on and talk about the movie and give background to the movie before they would start the movie. if you're watching it on the app, which I am, then sometimes that's hard baked into it. So like if you're going to watch the Maltese Falcon, you're going to get a host giving you 2 minutes about the Maltese Falcon. But sometimes it's just the movie, and then you'll have the option to watch the host intro
Got
as a
it.
separate thing, like, or so they'll be like, here's related material, here's the trailer, here's the host intro, and then you can watch the host intro. But
Got
yeah,
it.
they'll teach you things about classic movies, which is kind of fun for me. I'm
Yeah.
not like a serious movie buff or anything, but
No, I still think that's fascinating to be able to learn about old movies that you may not have had the opportunity to learn about. So,
yeah, and
um,
they'll tell you the dirt. It's kind of fun. They're like,
that's great.
these two hated each other.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Um,
These classic, screen romance partners that have been in like all of these movies together. Oh yeah, they hated each other, but it was whatever. Oh
um,
yeah, Defiled has a good point. The Sadness. It's a nice, wholesome family classic. Yeah, um, yeah, possibly. Well, definitely in the top five most twisted horror movies I've seen in the past 10 years. The Sadness. It's a good one. It's very, very good.
this one?
Um,
The Chinese one or no? What is it?
yes.
Okay.
Taiwanese, I believe. No, is it? It might be. Yeah, it's Taiwanese. Yeah,
Taiwanese. Okay.
yeah. Really, really good. Not for the faint of heart.
Got it.
Incredibly sick.
Okay.
Um, I feel like it made me feel bad about myself by me not being as affected by it as I thought I should have been.
Right, right.
It's like I should be shattered by this, but I'm not, which means I'm just that bitter and jaded. Um,
Born
Weird.
Yesterday. What's that one? 1950 film.
Yeah, books, The Sadness on the Chickenometer, if it goes up to 5, this is about a 70. You don't want to watch it, trust me. Born Yesterday. See, I haven't seen this, but I like everything I've ever seen by George Cukor, so I should be checking it out.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, so terrible movies. Now, where does that fall in line with your terrible movies?
I love terrible movies as well. Yeah.
Right. So what is your like terrible movie list? Give me like top 3, top 2. It doesn't
Oh,
mean your favorite. It just means like you what is
oh,
iconic
the
as far
worst movies I've seen.
yeah, yeah, like you
Um,
said terrible movies and Tubi TV.
well, Tubi is yeah, TubiTV.com is a great free source of watching some of the worst movies you'll ever encounter. It's available in the U.S. and it's available in Canada, although the movies might be different. What's available there? I have managed to find so many things that I saw once 20 years ago that vanished into obscurity, and I really wanted to see again, but every time I check, no streaming service has ever heard of it, and then it pops up on Tubi. So if you like the
Mm.
really obscure, terrible things, TubiTV.com, check it out. I recently saw a movie on there called Venus. What was it? Venus Guy Trap. Venus Guy Trap. And I'm watching it, and it's terrible, and it's not making any sense. And then it makes less sense. And then the people, the characters are referring to a thing that happened that we haven't seen happen. And I'm like, why is this so disjointed? And then the movie ends after 41 minutes. And I'm like, what's going on? So I look it up, and it turns out the reason it ended after 41 minutes is Venus Guy Trap was a hardcore porn film, and they just cut out all of the sex scenes into a 41-minute movie and stuck it on Tubi. That's why it's 41 minutes long, and the characters are talking about things that happened that we didn't get to see because they happened during the hardcore sex scenes.
Oh my
That's the
god.
kind of thing you can find on Tubi. It's ridiculous.
I
So
have to go here.
TubiTV.com, highly recommended. If you like campy stuff, I mean, they have all of the Full Moon stuff. If you're familiar with, Puppet Master, they have all the terrible like schlock movies show up there. If you are interested in the entire oeuvre of early '70s European lesbian vampire movies, there are several on Tubi TV.
Wow. And you
There's
could
a whole
just
thing.
search
I
for
think that
them
was the
too,
whole
or is it
industry.
random? Because like there was a site for a while that you can go in and you couldn't like type out what you wanted. It was just like what was presented to you, like a
Oh, yeah, no, there's a search. There's a search. But their
interesting.
algorithm for what you like is ridiculously broken and therefore hilarious. I
That's
love it.
fantastic.
So the Tubi app by default will just show you something else at the end of a movie.
Right.
It'll start a new movie before the credits are even over. And so I'll leave it on my TV in the background while I'm putting magic together and stuff like that. And just to see what they're going to show me next because I'll start with some schlocky horror film and then it'll show me another schlocky horror film and then it'll show me a schlocky horror film in Spanish,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
which I don't know Spanish. Um, but then it keeps showing me movies in Spanish.
Wow.
Now it's showing me romances in Spanish. And then, this is great, then it starts showing me American Hollywood movies dubbed into Spanish.
Oh my God.
And I can't figure out how to convince it that I do not know Spanish. It's really fun. Yeah, Tubi's got a lot of stuff, and they have original programming, which is kind of uh, terrifying.
Yeah.
They make their own stuff as well,
Oh
but
my gosh.
mostly it's like yeah, the schlockiest of the schlock, but also stuff from Europe that you may not find anywhere else. Um, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot on Tubi that you won't find on any other service, and it's free because it's supported by ads. So you will have ad breaks, ad interruptions, but that just adds to the charm because their ad algorithm is also broken. So you'll get ridiculous ads that in no way apply to you.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I'm watching an ad that was for a tire store in Pennsylvania that, and it's the owner of the shop woodenly delivering lines from a script that was apparently the whole thing was shot on somebody's flip phone and then edited by like the guy's middle school nephew. You know,
Wow.
one of those terrible, terrible commercials, and it pops up, and it's for a place that's like, you know, 260 miles away from me, and yeah, it's just all around entertaining.
Wow. Ragged World, thank you
Okay,
so
I'll read
much
it.
for the raid. I appreciate it.
I'll read it.
Welcome on in, everybody. This is Wiki Wednesday. We're here with Jack, InfoXCzar, going over how sometimes porns can be turned into movies. I think that sums it up. No, I'm kidding. Basically, we're talking about Tubi TV and bad movies and Turner Classic movies that are good movies. And we've gone through a slew of different other topics. And one of the ones that I'm going to touch on next is I put Lush, and I didn't know what Lush was.
Oh, it's a store. It's a company. Well, they make a lot of cosmetics and things like that. Um, Personal care products, like beauty products, that kind of thing. Um, Mostly like organically sourced, less cosmetics and more body care kind of things. A lot of their stuff is vegan, not all of it. But so if you need moisturizers, shampoo, conditioner, I fell in love with them many years ago. I had a friend who started working for them and therefore had an employee discount and therefore started
Ooh.
giving gifts of Lush stuff, which is how I got introduced to it. They gave me a sample of a particular soap that I fell in love with, the scent, and they make bath bombs. They were I think maybe kind of instrumental in sort of like the whole bath bomb thing catching on, turning into a thing that everybody suddenly knew what a bath bomb was.
Right.
So in the I would say mid 2000s, that was one of my ways of staying sane was hot bath in the middle of the night, a Lush bath bomb. They had one in particular that turned the water blue and full of seaweed. It was like your own personal ocean.
Interesting.
So I would take like a 4 hour bath and read like a Princess Diaries book cover to cover in a Lush bath.
You do
And
more fancy things than I do. You take
yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like for a while, that was definitely my survival. My survival technique was, you know, hot baths with Lush products. They have bubble bars, so you could do ridiculous like bubble baths. And yeah, I would soak for like 4 hours, read a book cover to cover, usually chick lit kind of thing or some young adult thing. And that was how I stayed out of
Yeah.
jail.
At the beginning of COVID, Lush offered the public free hand washing in all of its stores as a means to slow the spread of the virus. In 2020, Lush closed all North American stores, but continued to pay staff, with stores in Australia closing 4 days later and those in UK closing on 21st of March. So they paid their employees even though they closed. Wow.
Yeah, they have generally been a pretty responsible company, I feel. And so it was nice also that fairly early on, they started labeling which products were vegan, which was very helpful to me. And then they slowly started transitioning where more and more of their stuff became vegan over time. And so now there isn't that much that I can't have from them. And well, I'll tell you a pandemic Lush story for me. There's a particular moisturizer called Karma Cream that I basically started using in like the mid 2000s and use all the time. And Karma's their signature scent, so I was like, they're never gonna discontinue this. They discontinued it,
Oh
and I
no.
started to panic because I'm like, I really, really love this stuff. It's like the one scent that just makes me feel happy. And so I immediately rushed online to try to order whatever I could. Couldn't buy it, sold out online. They're like, you may be able to find it in a local Lush store. Well, this is just after lockdown. Like, stores are barely open. And
Right.
so I start calling around. And it turns out there's one Lush store in the big mall that has just reopened um, in Natick. So I've got to drive like 35 minutes to get to that mall. They say they have three left,
Oh my gosh.
3 jars left, and they're like, we can't ship them. They're in the store. You would have to pick them up. And that was the first time I ventured into a public space during COVID after lockdown. I masked up. I pre-ordered. I ordered. It was like over $100, like for
Wow.
3 jars of this stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna buy them. I'll put them in my fridge. And I'll be set for at least a few years. It'll give me some time because I don't use a lot of it.
Right.
It'll give me some time to find a replacement. And so I still have one full jar in the fridge. And when I got there, it was actually pretty cool. They had a table blocking the entryway, so you couldn't go into the store. And as I approached the door, masked people from behind the table said, "Are you picking up?" "Yep." "What's the name?" "Here you go." They're like, "Okay, this is it." They put it on the table and they back away, and I go up and I pick it up and I race out of the mall because there's
Wow.
people walking around just like coughing all over the place. I'm like, "Oh, this is great." But I'm very careful about these kinds of things, but I was willing to take that risk for the last 3 jars of Karma Cream. And I just found out about 2 weeks ago, they emailed, because I'm on their mailing list, they emailed saying, "We've heard you. We're bringing it back. We're never getting rid of it again." Apparently, the outcry was huge. So I still have the old stuff in the fridge, but they are bringing it back. And so, yeah.
Yeah, your dad
I feel
says he
better.
loves it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My dad tried it when he visited here, and he was like, "I didn't bring aftershave. Do you have anything, you just shave in, yeah, if you shave, your skin gets irritated and it helps to have something put on it." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really have traditional aftershave. I use this stuff." And I had him try it. And he wound up buying it himself. Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm a huge fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go through your dislikes real quick, which I was surprised the list was so small, Jack.
Well, you said five. You said five. You said 15 likes, five dislikes. And I'm like, I only like about three things. Like, I'm staring at this list earlier today during a lull at work. I'm like, my coworker's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "I need to come up with a list of 15 things that I like." And she was just like, "Pfft." She's known me for like 20 years. She's like, "Yeah, right." She's like, "What do you have so far?" And I had these three things, and I don't even remember which three they were, but you know, at the time, it wasn't even three that were on the list now.
Oh gosh.
Because the third one, I was just like, I named two things. It was probably like Trader Joe's and Magic or something,
Right.
and Chuckles. And she was like,
Chuckles the
"The candy?
the clown?
No, the candy?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay." And that's from Mad About You, which was a TV show, a sitcom from before. There's the Thanksgiving episode that I love. It could have gone on the likes list, called Giblets for Murray. I watch it every Thanksgiving that I can, and it's about a couple's first Thanksgiving hosting for the family, and everything goes wrong. And the dog eats the turkey. Murray's great. Murray's a dog. He's a dumb dog. Everybody loves Murray. But at one point, to stall while they try to rush out and secretly buy a replacement turkey, the wife is asking to go around the room, and everybody has to say what they're thankful for. And the cousin is just like, Chuckles. She's like, the candy? He's like, yeah. Moving on. That's the thing. So that's just where my brain goes when it's like, what are you thankful for? What do you like? Um, but yeah, I do like Mad About You, but specifically that episode, Giblets for Murray. That's
Giblets for Murray.
it's a classic. It's gonna live on forever.
8 seasons though. That's awesome.
Well, they
That's
brought it back.
yeah,
So
revival
Amazon
November
Prime,
20th to December
yeah,
18th, 2019. So
yeah,
few episodes.
yeah. They did a little season, and with the original cast. So it was kind of like a
That's
what
what
do
they
you
did with oh my gosh. What's the movie that has Jack and oh my god, help me out here guys.
are we talking about?
The TV show that they brought back for like a minute and it's about a no, not Jumanji. Jack and Karen and
Oh, yeah, yeah, just Jack. Yeah. Um,
yeah, I can't think of what it's called right now.
I can't remember the name of it either, but I know exactly
Yes,
what you're
yeah,
talking
it's just
about.
like that. They did a revival of it, and it was
Was it
apparently very
the two
good.
characters' names? Was it the two characters' names, like the two main
Jack
characters?
and Karen, Will and Grace.
Well,
There we
no,
go.
Will and Grace, right?
Thank
Because
you,
Jack and Karen
books.
are the same character. Yeah,
Thank you,
Will and
books.
Grace, books.
Just Jack. Okay, so dislike. So turning everything into a contest.
Yeah, that bums me out. You have to turn. You have to. It's like I don't like competition for competition's sake. I understand the idea that it can help you push yourself further, but generally speaking, that is not a motivating factor for me.
Okay.
So I like running. Well, I don't really like running, but I like running, but that is very much a solo activity for me. The idea of running with other people, I'm like, you just ruined the one thing that I like about running. Um, Running in a race, right? Like I'm running against myself. It's
Right.
enough for me to am I a better runner than I was last week? Then am I a better runner than you are, right? And this is the kind of thing like I've always liked things that were solitary and interesting. Magic. There are magic competitions. I'm not interested in magic competitions. I'm not interested in doing magic with a bunch of other magicians and then a panel of judges saying that guy was the best. I don't care,
Right.
right? And it's you get that it's and magicians will use that as billing, and that's fine. It's like FISM winner, 2019, and yeah, that means you're good for sure. But the notion that you have to turn everything that's not a competitive sport into a
Into
competitive
it's,
sport.
yeah.
Every reality show, yeah, everybody loves Great British Bake Off or whatever it's called. That's fine. I don't like the notion of here's all these great bakers. Let's pit them against each other.
Right. And not only pit them against each other, let's have arbitrary judging.
Right.
Like I had to
Yeah.
do judging for uh, uh where they do in colleges and high schools where they have like poetry and all that sort of stuff. And I had to do judging for that. But who was I to judge? Like, I don't have a background. I wasn't a teacher, none of that stuff. Not poetry slams. More like mock, no, mock trials. I'll think of it at some point. It's not
Okay.
important. But basically,
Yeah,
like,
like
who am
for
I to judge?
example for me anyway. Like
Yeah.
if you're into poetry slams, that's cool. Poetry for me is very much a solitary thing, and I don't like. I mean, slam poetry is different because it's not the same as the kind of poetry that I would write anyway. It wouldn't be a kind of thing I would do. But again, the notion of let's take this thing and turn it into a contest. Skateboarding also. Skateboarding for me very much a you are basically competing against yourself. You're trying to land that thing that you've been trying to land for 3 weeks before you die. You know, that's enough of an impetus for me. I don't need a panel of judges deciding whether my run was better than that guy's run in 2 minutes on the street course.
Right.
I don't care. I want to land that kickflip down 5 stairs before I break something.
Yep.
That's
Personal
that's
bests.
for me. Yeah, and it's again, it's fine whatever people like, but for me, I consider that unfortunate. You know, when you make skateboarding, an Olympic sport, that's weird to me. That's super weird because
Yeah.
skateboarding is very much like a Zen practice for me. You know, are we going to have competitive Zen? Maybe we will. Maybe that'll be the next reality show. Who knows? Um,
Um, all right, so we talked about this a while ago, about coerced audience participation.
oh yeah,
We had talked about that on your stream, where
yeah,
you were explaining that you don't like people who force people out to work with you to become a
yeah.
participant. Um,
It, yeah. I mean that's very much a personal preference,
mhm.
and it's because if I'm sat in an audience for a show, for me the pleasure of that is sitting in the dark and watching a show. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be an iterative part of that unless it's something that I'm going into thinking I'm going to be a part of that. Like if I go to a magic show and they're willing to have a magician as a participant, I'm perfectly happy to do that and I'm prepared for that. But I've seen a lot of bad magicians, and a lot of musicians do this as well. But I've seen a lot of bad magicians basically force people into participating. If I go to a music gig, I don't suddenly want the house lights to come on and illuminate everybody in the audience and they come over and start like, bringing people up on stage. That's not what I'm there for.
Right.
If I'm at a show and I want to jump up on stage and stage dive, I will do it. I have done it.
Right.
That's fun. But the notion that you you're not safe in assuming that you can just go be anonymous, be a spectator and not interact with people. Like that should be an okay thing.
There's a
And
difference
I've
between dinner and dinner theater.
right, very much so. Yeah. And I've talked to people who wind up, for instance, saying they hate magic, they hate magicians. I'm like, well, yeah, that's fine, but why? Why is that? I'm curious. And very often the answer will be, well, I saw a magician out in Harvard Square who was busking, and, he basically started harassing me. He started heckling me and making fun of me, and I wasn't even volunteering for his trick, but he basically tried to pull me up and, was like making fun of me before I even got up there. And I'm like, yeah, you saw a crappy magician.
Right.
So you definitely hate crappy magicians. That's fine. It's a shame that that's what you think all magicians are like.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing could happen, you go to a concert and suddenly they're like, we're going to turn the house lights on and everybody has to sing along during the chorus. And I'm just like, I'm not here to sing. I'm here to listen to you sing. I
Right.
understand what you're trying to do, but not everybody is on board with that. So the notion that you're going to use peer pressure to get people to engage. I mean, I feel like if you're good at what you do, you shouldn't have to resort to that kind of thing. That's my personal opinion on that.
Yeah.
And if you're a good magician, you don't have to bully people to, I mean, it's such a weird thing. We talked about bad magic, we talked about good magic versus bad magic, and there's lots of ways. There are so many versions of bad magic. Um, there's the kind that's just technically bad. There's the kind that's just narratively bad. But there are also magicians who are still doing magic because of the power play it gives them. You find magicians who are only, it's clear, you can see it. The only reason they're doing magic is because they think it makes them the smartest person in the room, and it doesn't. Or they're doing it because they want to be able to be the only guy in the room that can do this thing. And aren't I so much better than all of you? I've fooled you all. If the point of doing magic is to fool people, that's not magic.
Right.
That's just deception. Magic requires deception in order to accomplish what it's supposed to do, which is to give you that fleeting subconscious moment of, oh my God, anything is possible, which you have when you're a kid and you lose it as you grow up and you learn how the world works. The only reason is to get people back to that state for that split second where everything you know about how things are breaks down for just that tiny tiny moment. Anything is possible. And that's the kind of thing that maybe leads to a change
Yeah.
in yourself or in everything,
Yeah.
right? Because, and Francis Minotti talks about this. He gave a great TED talk a few years ago. The whole notion that today's science was yesterday's science fiction, right?
Yeah.
The idea that we take certain science facts today as commonplace. We're walking around with phones. I mean, you have the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in the late 70s. An iPhone is more powerful than the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was in fiction in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And you go back further, you look at hard science fiction and today's science fact. He makes a good point, like Jules Verne writing about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and now we have submarines, you
Right.
know, or science fiction of visits to the moon. We do that now. We can do that. But would we have done that if somebody had not written that story? Who knows?
Right.
So the idea that if you get too baked into the idea of this is the way things are, then things change, right? You can't push for progress if you get baked into that idea that the way things are is the way things are always going to be. So the only real benefit to magic beyond light entertainment is that maybe, just maybe, you're affecting somebody's mind in a way that makes them subconsciously a little bit more open to maybe things could be better or maybe things can be different. So when you have a magician who's just doing it to be better than everyone else,
Right. Or to
first of all,
fool
it's not
you in a negative way, like to
nobody's entertained by being made to feel stupid.
right.
So you're failing as an entertainer, you're failing as a magician. I mean, it makes me angry because there's a lot of bad magicians out there who frankly shouldn't be doing it. They shouldn't be doing it at all. They should be doing anything else. Frankly, half of them should probably try to be police. But let's not get into that.
All right, Jack. So we've got about 2 to 5 minutes left, right?
Okay.
So
I didn't know
you,
how long we were going to go. So I'm
yeah,
just,
2 hours is my limit because I can't sit any longer.
all right.
But what's it called? You showed me a preview of your down cam, so I'm wondering if that means you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to do a trick or if it's
Oh, no.
just
I like to make sure it's available just in case. But yeah, I don't have anything planned. But if you'd like to see something, I'm happy to do something. Um, Certainly no harm in that. The cropping might be a little. We might have to.
yeah, I can
Uh,
uncrop. That's fine.
or I could even do something up here. But I don't know. Like in this size, I'm not sure what will
Well,
play.
I can literally just do this and then do this. And
Shan would like to see the magic. Well, yeah, I don't have anything prepared. But if there's
you could do
any
your
general.
warm up routine.
That's true. Or there's the new warm-up routine, but I don't know if I'm really set up for that.
Yeah, no pressure. Honestly, if you don't want to do anything, that's really okay.
Let me, we've got these knocks. And actually, I don't even know what, no, these are like, these aren't even all facing the same direction. That's not a good sign. I don't know what the heck I did with these. Good Lord. What was the last thing I did with these? Because that's not good. Let's, how old are these? Because it kind of needs a fairly newish
And you can
thing.
feel how new they are, right? By just the feel of them.
Well, they get kind of not sticky like they stick to things, but they don't slide as well.
Mm-hmm.
So often that's a clue as to how old they are.
Okay.
Let me see. You know, because the other thing is we could try that new. Well, it's a very old 6 card repeat thing, but that'd be less interesting for people. Let me see what we can do with this. Uh, boy.
And chat, I acknowledge you. You guys have been off the fucking rails today, and I love every second. Defiled Entrails said that he would go ahead and pee on someone if they ever were disrespectful to you in any way. That he would literally pee on someone for you.
I take that at face value. Thank you, Defiled. I 100% believe that he would do that. There's no question. All right, well, I don't. Oh, let's see. I might have to do this. Well, no. Okay, I'm gonna look because there's a lag, right? But once I see whether it's set up, I will. Um, this is gonna be tiny. Let's see what happens
It's
here.
set up.
All right. Well,
I can
we can certainly
expand
try
it.
it. I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
switch back to OBS so
Whoop.
that I can see things in real time. Um, yeah. So I learned about this drill basically from a magician in London. Well, it wasn't shot in London, but her name is Laura London, and she's based in London. And she has a whole show based around a deck of cards. And her show is based on lessons she learned in card manipulation and gambling and cheating from a journal that she has from a 19th century card cheat, woman card cheat. And it's a fascinating show. That like her whole show was amazing. But what I picked up from her was in this journal there was a an exercise that this woman would do, which is she would every day start with a deck of cards, cut to one card, and then whatever suit that card was, she would then try to get the rest of the cards of that suit. So we've got a two of spades, so she would then try to get the rest of the spades. Oof, this is going to be... All right, let's try. Let's see. I'm not warmed up at all. Okay, so try get one from right about there, and then see if this works. This is going to take some doing. I think... Okay. All right, we got some spades. So we got the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 6 so far. All right, we got 4 of them. This is the part I always screw up. Estimation. Estimation is you get a quick glimpse at the deck during the shuffle, basically by riffling like that. And based on that quick glimpse, you try to locate a card by cutting to it. So I think I saw the 7. Let's go. No. All right. Hang on. We'll get the 7 a different way. We'll get 7 a different way. Let's go. There we go. We got the 7. I still think we can get it with estimation. Hang on. Okay, we're gonna try for the 8. There we go. Uh, let's see. How about? All right. In the hand shuffle, like overhand shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna try to get. I think I feel the 10. There we go. Got the 10. We don't have any. We don't have any court cards yet, so um, let's try that. Let's see. I think Queen, King, Jack. All right, we get court cards. We are still missing the 5. Well, actually, you know what? Let's try for a 9. All right. This is the one I screw up the most. This is trying to grab the card out of a dribble. Because I'm not really good at the dribble, and my thumb especially is kind of messed up today. But let's... All right, so... Yeah, got it. Got the 9. We need 5. We can probably... What would be good? All right, let's try this. All right, we got 5. And ace is what's left. All right, let's do cut to the ace. There we go. So that's 13 spades. We got them all. They're not in order, though. They're not in order. If you're really good, you can get them in order. We can try this. Let's see what we can do. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, and King. All right, there we go. So these are in order. And this may or may not work. Let's try this. I think that's probably... Let's go... we can make this really... we can get really crazy with this. Let's try...
Oh gosh, this one always gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, it's a good way to make cards really really mixed. Then putting them back is the hard part. Okay, we're gonna go. And oh boy, I'm gonna go. All right. Think. All right, I think that's it. We got spades in order. I don't know if this will show up on camera.
It shows up.
Okay, we got diamonds in order. Oh, good. We got clubs in order. I thought we would have at least one out in the clubs. There we go. Diamonds, clubs, hearts.
That is, like I said, one of my new favorite tricks. Hands
Yeah,
down.
I love the routine. I love the routine.
It's
Oh, I'm
so
big.
good.
I switched back. I'm big. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize. I thought we were still going to be in the little thing there.
Nope.
So, yay! People can actually see it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me pop back up to a main view here, and if I can. Oh, there I am. Okay.
And make you small.
Yeah. So that's one of my new favorite warm-ups. I need to make some changes to it, but that's basically Laura London's routine. done in a way that I can actually do it. Because her original routine definitely contains some moves that I cannot do. And so,
The spiral
uh,
one always gets me. Every time it gets me.
mm, yeah, I love that one.
Oh my god. Sorry.
Um, that's from Leonard Green, who is an amazing card magician because his entire deal is that he looks like he's never touched a deck of cards in his life.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
dropping cards all over the place. As he's shuffling, cards are falling out. He's picking them up, putting them back in. He's just like things are flying everywhere. And then all the cards are in order. It's amazing. Leonard Green is. I feel like I should know more of his stuff, but every time I see him perform, um, just blown away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jack, thanks for letting me be your mod and
Oh, come
enjoying
on.
the magic every single time I watch you. I
Thank
think
you.
you are an outstanding human being, upstanding human being, and everyone should have a streamer like Jack. So,
Oh, that's super nice.
um,
Sorry to have kept you over.
no, no,
Uh,
that's fine. You're totally fine. Ragged, thank you so much for the raid in. I appreciate it. Um, yeah,
and I'll be on there
absolutely.
tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, you'll be on Ragged Worlds tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. Info's dad, yeah, absolutely happy to do this. And we're happy to share Jack's story and Jack's likes and dislikes and dislikes and dislikes and dislikes.
A lot of
Um,
dislikes. Yeah.
um, so yeah, let's go ahead. I think we're gonna raid Socially Distant Canada because they're doing
Yay.
International Women's Day. Some of you may know them, and so I definitely want to spread the love over to them. So if you would please come on the raid with me, I don't have any special raid calls. However, feel free to use the raid command, the raid pick axe thing.
Really pick act.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you again, Jack. Thank you for everyone who came to attend. I can't believe I have so many people watching. So um, it's going to be on YouTube. So feel free to watch there too.
Oh God.
Have a good night, guys.
Okay. Night all. Thanks for being here.